I'd like to talk about the personality here. I mean, a lot of people saying that this election is all about the personality, perhaps even more so of Donald Trump than Joe Biden. I mean, obviously, for many people, Donald Trump is such a divisive figure, and yet here he is, apparently doing pretty well in this election.
Is that for me?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yep, absolutely. No, look, he is at a stage right now where that was on the ballot. At the end of the day, the Democrats and Vice President Biden are really trying to make this race a referendum on President Trump, make it a referendum on President Trump's handling COVID-19. And look, as it stands right now, and anything can change, it appears the American people, in terms of these key battleground states, more of them were liking what they saw. And we saw the president in the final days of this race in particular go beyond just talking about the virus and other issues and lean into many of his strengths. And that is talking about jobs, talking about the economy. And what we saw, and we should take much of this with a grain of salt, with the exit polling, wasn't just COVID-19 that was highly important to voters, as it should be, but also the economy and jobs. And the president does quite well typically on the issue of economy and jobs. And I suspect that's playing a leading role right now, that issue of the economy in terms of the president's strength so far that we're seeing in this race, but we still have a ways to go.
Doug, Matt Terrill there saying that people saw Donald Trump and they liked what they saw.
Well, this is always, but look, first of all, I hate to use the word, and I should probably slap myself, but polarization. These are two candidates where, you're either from Mars or Venus here. People have starkly differing views. This is not a case of two candidates running against each other where some people sort of like one and sort of like the other. It is extremely sharp, people's opinions of one or the other. You tend to absolutely, if you're a Biden supporter, you despise Donald Trump. You think he's a vile human being, not just a vile politician. And if you are a Trump supporter, you think Joe Biden is everything America does not need right now. You see him as a weak candidate, as Trump would quip, Sleepy Joe. You joke about some of those Twitter handles that Trump assigns. They work at his rallies. They rile up his crowd. And the images, here I am talking about it right here, right? It sticks with you. Regardless of whether or not it's factually correct, you start to think of one of the other candidates as, adhering to the image that your rival paints of you. Among his base and perhaps even beyond just his diehard base, Trump definitely has a charisma that appeals to them. And just as much as Biden, to his own supporters, have absolutely zero understanding of how anyone could possibly vote for Donald Trump. And this gets back to the whole issue, because regardless of the outcome of this election, we are looking at America going forward where there's still no clear solution for dialogue, bridging people's differences and bringing them together, because there's still an inability for people on a real basic level to talk to each other. It reverberates from Washington right down to the heartlands of America, right down to the places that we've been speaking to our correspondents as they've been crisscrossing a lot of those, the Blue Belt states, the Blue Wall states, speaking to people. I did it 4 years ago, going across from Ohio to Pennsylvania. It is remarkable how you cross, it's like literally crossing a galactic divide. You cross one county border into another, you enter a big city, it's like a different country. And that is a problem going ahead.
Matt Terrill, then just one last question for you. If Donald Trump does win this election, is he going to be able to reunite America?
Well, the next president needs to reunite America. That's going to be a big challenge. I agree that this country right now is polarized, and we're seeing that in this election. We've seen it in the polling. And the next president, if it is President Trump, will need to have the ability and move forward with uniting the country. So at this stage in the game, we need to let the process play itself out. We're not quite there yet in terms of the final outcome of the race, as we all know. But in the end, unity is on the ballot. And the American people, I believe, want to be united. And the next president, if it is President Trump, will need to work to bring this country together.
Matt Terrill, thanks very much for joining us there. That's Matt Terrill, who's joined us from Washington. He's a partner at Firehouse Strategies, former chief of staff to the Florida Republican Marco Rubio. Thanks very much for being with us on the programme.